Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the blueprints, the history, and the hidden secrets of the world's most enduring building, the Hagia Sophia. Let's get right into it. For nearly 1,500 years, this place has basically stood at the exact crossroads of empires, religions, and architectural history. So we're going to figure out exactly how it was built, why it survived, and the incredible stories written right into its stones. 5 years and 10 months. Seriously, that is literally all it took to build the Hagia Sophia we see today. Finished in December of 537 AD under the Byzantine Emperor Justinian, that timeline is just impossibly fast for an ancient megastructure. To put that into perspective, medieval cathedrals built centuries after this often took over 100 years to finish. So how on earth did they pull off this architectural miracle so quickly? Well, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll look at how it was rebuilt 3 times, the engineering revolution behind it, the secrets hidden in the main space, the upper gallery and its mosaics, and finally, the Ottoman-era additions.
Okay, part 1. A masterpiece reborn thrice.
So, Hagia Sophia wasn't just a one-and-done build. It's a hardcore survivor of some really intense historical fires and riots. The structure we actually see today, that's the third Hagia Sophia. The first one was a wooden-roofed basilica built way back in 360 AD, but it burned to the ground during a massive riot in 404. Then they built a second one in 415, but it met the exact same fate, totally torched during the infamous Nika riots of 532. Emperor Justinian was over it. He didn't just want to rebuild, he wanted something totally indestructible. Just weeks after those riots, he commissioned a structure so massive, no one would ever dare challenge it again.
Which brings us to section 2. An architectural and engineering revolution.
To pull off Justinian's dream of immortality, they needed a completely fresh approach. So he didn't even hire traditional architects. Nope, he brought in brilliant scientists. Isidorus of Miletus was a renowned physicist and geometry expert, and Anthemius of Tralles was a professional mathematician. Together, they did something completely unprecedented. They took a traditional, long basilica floor plan and smashed it together with a massive, revolutionary central dome. They were calculating forces in geometry on a scale no one had ever even attempted before. Their biggest innovation? Solving a massive geometric puzzle. How exactly do you put a giant round dome on a square room? Well, they perfected this thing called the pendentive. It's an ingenious architectural technique that lets a circular dome transition smoothly down onto 4 giant supporting pillars. This incredible system supports a dome sitting almost 56 meters high in the air, and because they pierced the base of that dome with 40 ribbed windows, sunlight just pours in. It creates this magical illusion that this unbelievably heavy stone dome is simply floating in thin air. But you might be wondering, how did they gather all the materials so fast? Well, they used a practice called spolia, which basically means reusing ancient sacred materials. To build at that breakneck speed, and to give the place instant sacred grandeur, they ingeniously recycled columns from ancient pagan temples all across the empire. We're talking breathtaking green marble from the Temple of Artemis in Ephesus, and striking red porphyry from Heliopolis in Egypt. It was a massive flex of imperial power, literally scooping up the greatest pieces of the old world to build the new one.
All right, moving to section 3, the secrets of the main space.
Let's actually map this out spatially and imagine walking right into the building. Step 1, you enter the outer narthex. That's a plain corridor originally meant for the unbaptized. Step 2 takes you into the inner narthex, which is this glowing space absolutely covered in gold mosaics. Right there, you face the majestic imperial door, and back in the day, that was strictly reserved for the emperor and no one else. Passing through that door brings you to step 3, the naos. That's the breathtaking main nave right underneath that massive hovering dome. Once you're inside, the shared heritage of this space is just undeniable. Byzantine and Ottoman history live beautifully right side by side. You've got the Omphilion, a series of colored marble circles on the floor where Byzantine emperors were actually crowned. But right next to it, you have the elegantly placed Ottoman mihrab and minber, directing prayer towards Mecca. You'll also spot the highly ornate Hunkad Moffili, or Sultan's Lodge, along with these massive Hellenistic urns brought from Bergama by Sultan Murad III, and the famous sweating column, a bronze-covered pillar that people long believed had healing properties. And as you look up in the main nave, you absolutely cannot miss the monumental wooden roundels, or medallions. These were crafted by the master calligrapher Kazasker Mustafa İzzet Efendi during the 19th century Abdülmecid era. Guys, they are a staggering 7.5 meters in diameter. They gracefully bear the names of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad, the four caliphs, and the Prophet's grandsons in stunningly intricate script, seamlessly adding this whole other layer of spiritual majesty to the airspace above.
Now for Section 4, the upper gallery and mosaics. Leaving the main floor, we head up to the U-shaped upper gallery. Historically, this was a gathering place for women, court members, and clergy. Today, it's basically a masterclass in Byzantine art. You'll find absolute masterpieces up here. The DSC's mosaic is widely considered the peak of Byzantine artistic expression, showing a beautiful, slightly melancholic depiction of Judgment Day with Christ, the Virgin Mary, and John the Baptist. You've also got the common Hanos and Zoe mosaics, which show different royal families offering donations to Christ. And as you walk through the South Gallery, you even pass through a beautifully carved marble door that people used to call the Gate of Heaven and Hell. But amidst all this overwhelming imperial and divine grandeur, there is a wonderfully relatable human touch. Carved right into the marble balustrade in the South Gallery is some ancient runic graffiti. Translated, it simply reads, "Halfdan was here." Turns out, a 9th century Viking mercenary, part of the elite Varangian Guard, got a little bored during a church service and literally just carved his name into the stone. It's such a fantastic reminder of the everyday human lives that have passed through these halls.
Finally, Section 5, the Ottoman era and additions.
Following the 1453 conquest, the Ottoman stewardship of Hagia Sophia became this amazing story of incredible engineering and deep respect. The legendary Ottoman architect Mimar Sinan built massive external buttresses, those giant retaining walls that flank the outside, which literally saved the aging building from collapsing under its own weight. Later in the 1840s, the Fassadi brothers were brought in to carefully clean the Byzantine mosaics and secure that massive dome with a huge iron band. And leaders like Sultan Mahmud I added stunning cultural elements, like a magnificent library and a really beautiful Rococo-style fountain out in the courtyard. Over time, the exterior dramatically evolved too. It transformed from a single massive church into a sprawling, rich cultural complex. 4 totally distinct minarets were added over different eras by different sultans, perfectly framing the dome. The courtyard became the final resting place for 5 Ottoman sultans in these highly ornate tombs. They even added a timekeeper's house, known as a muvakkithana, to carefully calculate daily prayer times. But perhaps what's most beautiful about all this is the shared spiritual reverence you find high up on the walls. If you look at the pendentives, again those structures holding up the dome, they're still guarded by magnificent mosaics of the 6-winged seraphim angels. And near the apse, massive mosaics of the archangels Gabriel and Michael stand watch. These are angelic guardians that both the Christian and Islamic faiths deeply cherish, looking down together on a space that has hosted the prayers of both. So, what does this all mean? How does a single structure seamlessly weave together the legacies, the art, and the engineering of 2 supposedly opposing empires? Well, Hagia Sophia isn't just a building. It's a living, breathing timeline. It survived fires, riots, and the fall of empires by constantly adapting and being fiercely protected by those who inherited it. It stands today as a profound testament to the unifying and enduring power of shared human heritage. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I'm really curious, what part of Hagia Sophia's story fascinates you the most?